So the College Football Playoff Committee, members of national media, so many people have been talking about we need to expand the CFP. We need to expand the playoff to 12 teams. This needs to happen. The playoff has gotten boring. It's always the same old teams, the same old powers, the same old programs. We need to expand the playoff, get more teams in, create more chaos, create more opportunity, have more inclusion. People just love parity in sports. People tell you they love greatness. People tell you they love dominance. They're lying to you. People say, I love the Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls, but people didn't love the dominance that the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan had in the 90s because Jordan and the Bulls kept other NBA franchises from winning championships. They kept other NBA superstars and legends and Hall of Famers from winning, eating, and even understanding what a championship looked like. People said, hey, I love Tom Brady when he was with the Patriots with Bill Belichick. Half of you couldn't stand Tom Brady. Why? You were tired of seeing Tom Brady win all the time. There came one point where a lot of us went, can Tom Brady just go? Can Bill Belichick just go? We're tired of seeing him win. We're tired of seeing him on top. It's the same thing with Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. A lot of people are like, will Nick Saban just go? Will he just get the heck out of here and retire? We're tired of seeing Saban on top. We're tired of seeing Alabama. Can somebody else do something? Can we see somebody else here take the reins? And I feel like that's the reason why so many people appreciate March Madness and college basketball, because not every single year a blue blood program will win the championship. Not every single year Kentucky or Duke or North Carolina or Villanova is going to win a championship. It's the same thing where softball is right now with the Women's College World Series. Not every year an Arizona or a UCLA is going to win. Sometimes you've got the SEC winning championships. Sometimes you have Florida State winning one. Of course, right now, a lot of fans are hoping that Florida State pulls it out over Oklahoma on this evening in the Champ Series. But the point being, people were like, we got to expand this thing to 12 teams because it's getting boring now. And let's be honest with ourselves for just a minute here. This same debate, this same argument, this same conversation was happening with the BCS system. It was the exact same thing. When we had the BCS system where it was computers and not the human eye, when it was computers and not, able-bodied people, making these decisions, you guys went, the system's flawed, the computers are flawed, it's the same old teams, it's the same old programs. Let's get a human eye on this. Let's get, more so of individuals on this so we can have more teams and more programs, more schools with an opportunity, with a chance to really compete, get in here, and jump in this thing. And people complained about it and complained about it and complained about it till we said, okay, screw it, we'll do it then. And in 2014, we got a law-making body of people called the College Football Playoff Committee, and we put them in charge of, week by week, you are studying game tape, you are studying game film, you are watching these matchups, you are looking at the numbers, the data, the analytics, you are having meetings, discussing, debating, arguing, conversating over coffee, beer, or whatever it was the people were conversating over, and every time, or conversing over, as I should say, and every time there was a meeting, you had the one person go up and talk to the national media about this is why the committee did what they had to do. And even with that, the last 3 to 5 years, we are seeing these same old questions come up again. It's getting boring. We're looking like the BCS again. Still the same old teams. Still see Bama. Still see Clemson. Still see Ohio State. Still see Oklahoma. No other schools getting in. No other school has the opportunity. It's getting back boring. It's getting back predictable. We got to expand this thing again. Now, I am all for making college football exciting. I am all for more college football because I'm a consumer of the sport just like you guys are. I'm all for getting as many teams in seeing how many teams can crash the party, all of those things. But in playing devil's advocate here for a minute, I'm also one for you better be able to do this thing well. If you're going to do it, if you're going to expand it, it better work, and it better work correctly, because not everybody's going to be happy. At the end of the day, you're not going to please everybody. You're not going to appease everybody. Somebody's going to be mad at the end of the day. And let's just be honest here. It's been hard trying to get the best 4 teams in all the time. I mean, normally the top 3 seeds, you look at them and you say, okay, that team deserves it. That team deserves it. The third team deserves it. They've got great strength of schedule. They've been dominant. They've been incredible. They've been playing well on all 3 phases of the game. You can't deny that team. But then it seems like when you look at the 4th team, you're like, how in the heck did they get in here? How did they slip through the crack? What was their strength of schedule? How did this team get in here? And it's always a question of, can we get the best 4 teams in here? Because whether it's been Oklahoma the last few years, or Notre Dame the last few years, or Michigan State the second year of the playoff, it's always been that 4th team that gets beaten like a drum in the semifinal round, and you have loss of revenue, loss of ratings, loss of attention. It's boring. How in the Sam Hill did that team get in there? And going back to last year, Ohio State got in, and Ohio State only played 6 games. And people said, well, they're a big-time brand, they're a name brand, they're a major program, they're a headline school, they pull in money, they pull in revenue, so we have to have them in. Ohio State, the Big Ten, canceled their season from the get-go, and then just because they saw the SEC, the Big 12, and the ACC continue on with their schedules, being able to maneuver through COVID, then the Big Ten and the Pac-12 went, oh, snap, we pulled the gun too soon. We moved too quick. Let's give our guys a season. But they only played 6 games. And you had Texas A&M with a much better case to get into the playoff. You had Cincinnati under Luke Fickell, who had a much better case for the playoff. But the law-making bodies that be chose Ohio State to get in there. So we have seen moments where with the 4 teams, it's hard to put the best 4 teams in, because half the time the committee goes with the 4 teams most deserving versus the 4 best teams that need to be in here. So if we're already having problems and issues with the format that we already have, what makes you think expanding to 12 teams is going to be even better? Actually, it's going to make it even tougher. It's going to put more on the committee. It's going to put more film, more eyes, more pressure, more data, more analytics, more debates at the table that they have to continue to handle. Now, to me, I feel like if you're going to do this, you would expand to 6 teams, maybe 8 teams if you were going to do this. But if you go 12 teams, think about this here. How many regular season games do you cut out if you go to 12 teams? Because you can't overexert the physical strain and the mental strain on the bodies of these young athletes. So how many games do you cut out of the regular season? I mean, on top of that, how many bowl games do you cut out? Because we're already seeing how the bowl system has been less valued due to, if you're not in the top 4, people go, well, my season was trash anyway. My season was crap anyway. My season meant nothing anyway because I was not in the top 4. I was not among the top 4 seeds here in the playoffs, so why play in the bowl? But if you expand this to 12 teams, now you eradicate the bowl system altogether, and what that does is not every team is not going to be able to get into the college football play. Let's just be honest. Every team, there are some teams that will just never make the playoff, no matter how much you slice it, no matter how much you try to make it appealing for everybody. Not every team is going to make the playoff. And with that being said, they need those bowl games to sell to their fans, their recruits, their program, their school, their entity. They need those bowl games. So if you remove the bowl system from those teams, what do they have to offer? They have absolutely nothing to offer there. So to me, I'm not saying, expansion bad, expansion bad, expansion bad. I'm all for, inclusion. I'm all for getting as many people into the playoff as you possibly can to create even more excitement, even more entertainment to the game. But my thing is, if you're going to do this, you better count up all the cost and make sure you're doing this right and making sure you have no stone left unturned. That's all I'm saying. Now, when you get to the University of Alabama, Nick Saban, and the Crimson Tide, I honestly feel like people are trying to get this expansion because they want to see, can this be the thing that finally knocks Nick Saban out? Can this be the thing that finally knocks Alabama off the perch? Can this be the thing that finally phases Alabama out of the conversation? Nick Saban, 3 national championships at Bama in the BCS, 3 national championships at Bama in the CFP. And when they tried, okay, let's go from just a traditional signing period in February and let's break it up into 2 signing periods. Nick Saban has grown to master that. Then the people said, hey, well, let's just take his coaches from him every year. He's mastered that, reloaded with bigger and better talent on the coaching staff each and every time. Then people said, okay, let's see if we can get them through the transfer portal. Bama's going to lose good players. Bama's going to lose top talent. They'll erode from that. Well, other programs have lost top talent also, but they've lost their top guys to Alabama, and Alabama has taken those top guys and has won conference championships, national championships, and have put those players respectively in the NFL draft. So no matter how these different programs and how these different powers that be in college football try to find different ways to complicate the game of sport on the field for Coach Saban, he always finds a way to work around it. So if you even expand to 6 teams, 8 teams, 12 teams in the CFP, Coach Saban is still going to find a way to work around the boomerang that you are trying to throw at him to limit what he wants to do, which is win national championships. So I'm all for expansion. I'm all for, hey, let's create some parity. Let's create some chaos. Let's get some new winners in here. Let's get some new teams in here. But my thing is, will it be done in a way to where you're doing right by the student athletes, you're doing right by the programs? We can have our excitement, but we can have it done in the right manner, because if it's already difficult for us trying to figure out the best 4 teams, adding 12 in here or adding 8 more to equal 12, good luck.